All right, sounds good. Now that we understand the process, could we please go over some of the pros and cons, perhaps?
Of course, one advantage of using this method is that it reduces risk of cystic fibrosis, along with any other possible genetic diseases that may be passed down from previous generations, such as Alzheimer's, Huntington's disease, etc. And generally, for related reasons, it increases the child's life expectancy. Finally, it can give children genes that parents do not carry, such as enhanced intelligence and height, though I understand this is not what you're looking to achieve. Now, the goal of the child not having cystic fibrosis will be most likely achieved. There are a few cons we must discuss.
Yes, of course.
So even though we're no longer in the experimental phase of designer babies, genetic processes are not always free of error, meaning it is possible that other errors may come up at some point in the baby's future. It is also possible that there will be damage of the gene pool, as it can create a gap in the society. I would like for both of you to sit down and discuss further pros and cons and ethical issues before making your final decision. I will see you in a week. Hopefully you have made your decision by that time.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help. After talking to the doctor about designer babies, my parents discussed the ethical concerns, pros and cons, and how the society would be impacted by having a designer baby.
We have quite a few things to go over, don't you agree?
Yeah, you're right.
It's understandable that there are clashing viewpoints of what is considered ethical in terms of having these designer babies. And with the increasing number of designer babies, it already seems like there would be less variance and individuality in people in terms of physical appearance and intellectual capability.
Of course, more and more people are looking to achieve similar traits for their children.
I'm sure that in the near future, this reduction in variation will create an invisible barrier between designer babies and babies born naturally, because those children will know that they are different from others. Isn't it likely, then, that discrimination would proceed between children, as designer babies most likely have a greater advantage over other children?
I absolutely agree. However, that shouldn't be a problem for us, as we will try to remain as ethical as possible and make no changes to our child's facial features nor intellect.
Of course, but we can already see the differentiation in socioeconomic classes, as many people in our society cannot afford to have designer children, and so wealthy designer children sometimes deem themselves to be better than others. I've seen many minority groups, such as the one with disabilities, struggle to bond with those around them as a result of this. If anything, in my opinion, it would be best to make the process of designer babies accessible to all people and countries, disregarding socioeconomic status or income.
How insightful! But what I worry about most is making decisions on behalf of the children, and the children not being satisfied in the future, and that would raise an ethical concern.
That is a valid point. However, at the same time, we must not overlook the benefits of having a designer child. To begin, it would relieve us tremendously, as it would eliminate the burden of having to carry a child with genetic abnormalities like cystic fibrosis. Not only that, but it would also eliminate the financial burden if our child was to have the genetic condition.
Yes, definitely.
Well, based on this discussion, I personally do think that designer babies are providing hope for families like us, who have a history of genetic disorders, while other families are using this technology for unethical reasons for their children, such as appearance. We must remember that our individual purpose is to prevent our child from having a life-threatening genetic disorder.
Absolutely. And we aren't looking to make them, say, better than everyone else.
With this, I think we should proceed with having a designer child.
So, as you saw, after talking to the doctors and having a deep discussion about it, my parents made the decision of having a designer baby. And personally, I agree with the fact that designer babies are a great idea, so long as we only use them to cure diseases.
Created using Powtoon.